So good evening, everyone, to our esteemed speakers and participants today, and welcome back to the Global Virtual Exchange Summit. My name is Professor Dr. Erwin Martinez Faller, and I'm very honored to be your moderator for this panel's discussion. Today, we have a very exceptional lineup of experts joining with us today in this very exciting COIL panel. Together with us today, we have four esteemed speakers in this panel presentation, and they are from very diverse background, telling us with their very diverse topics. Please join me to send our warmest welcome to our first speaker. So I would like to read also a very short and very distinctive profile then of our speaker then. Our first speaker that will tackle then on the very dynamic topics for today. We have here Ms. Laura Braghini Zampieri of the institution from Sao Paulo State University, or UNESPE, who will be actually talking with us very exciting topics then of very relevant and very, kind of touching with us, all of us, talking about merging course content and in a virtual exchange initiative between Brazil and Mexico. Help me welcome Ms. Laura Braghini Sampiere. Hello, Ma'am
Thank
Laura.
you. Thank you. Thank you. That's a very nice introduction. Well, Maggie, can I share my screen? Or there's
Yeah, here you go. Thank you.
let me okay, now I can do it. 1 second. Just set up this mode so that I can see you. Okay, just is it okay? Like, can you see my screen, my slides? Yes, that's perfect then. So thank you very much. I'm not sure if I say good morning, good afternoon, or good evening. For me, it's good morning here in Brazil, 7 a.m. So I'm Laura Braghini Zampieri, and I'm a PhD student. I'm in the Department of Linguistics and Portuguese language, and at the University of São Paulo. And my colleague, Professor Migdalia Rosales, was not able to be here because for her it's like 3 a.m. But we have prepared this presentation together, and we are very happy to share our project and our research with you, right? So we'll talk about a little bit how we merged course content in the initiative between Brazil, us, and Mexico, right? So just to give you some background information, this is how we established our collaboration, which started in 2023, and then we had another one this year, 2024. So first, we had some meetings just to organize, I guess most people do that, organize the virtual exchange in terms of dates, time zones, which is actually hard, right? And the overall design, right? What we were, our intentions to do with our students, right? Once these details were decided, we asked our students to interact a little bit through Padlets. And this was very helpful because they kind of got to know each other before the actual online meeting, right? And after that, we had our first synchronous online meeting, which happened with all of them, us and all the students. And during this meeting, we presented some guidelines for the students. So they had some other 4 synchronous meetings to develop the project that we were presenting to them. Finally, our last meeting was to develop some suggestions and give some feedbacks receive some feedback and also give some feedbacks for them, right? My mouse is not okay. So our biggest issue was that although our disciplines were very similar in terms of contents, they differ a lot in terms of level. So Mexican students, they had content about phonetics and phonology of the English language before, but my students, the students from Brazil, they had never seen this before, and this was our biggest concern. So we decided to use a project-based learning approach since we thought that it would help us merge these different levels of content, and it would help us help students have like a common goal to get to the end and to have this as an aim, right? It ain't at the end we figure out that it was much more than we anticipated, and it was a very interesting project, especially because they could build very deep relationships. So this is the first project that we developed. So we call it the Sounds of English because the disciplines were about phonetics and phonology of English. And the students, they had to create an explanatory video of at least 2 minutes and maximum 3 minutes about one pair of sounds in the English language. They also had to create some exercises, practical exercises, so that we could share with the other groups and they could practice a little bit more. So this picture shows how we divided the groups. We had 18 groups at first. At the end, we had 16 because some just faded, but they had some pair of sounds or some features that we as professors, we thought that it was a tricky in terms of Spanish speakers and Portuguese speakers speaking English. The second project, which was this year in 2004, we changed it a little bit, but not a lot. So the goal was not a video, but a podcast. We call it a pronunciation podcast. So they had to create this podcast interview discussing about pronunciation and issues related to second language learning. So they interview each other in order to figure out the difficulties of Spanish speakers and Portuguese speakers. And because I'm not sure if you are familiar, but we have like some sounds that it's very difficult for us as Portuguese speakers to say. And Spanish speakers, they have similar sounds that are tricky, but they also have very different ones, right? At this time, they had four online synchronous meetings to develop this project. The first project, they had 6, so it was a little bit longer. I would like to share a video of one of the first projects. So I selected this video just to comment on it later. And let me see if I can play for you. Just do like this if you can listen to it, right? You cannot listen. I guess they didn't share the sound. Okay, one sec.
So much. It's like a national holiday in our house. So, naturally, we're going to keep Lily home from school today. Wait, what? Are we? Did we let her go to school on Cher's birthday? Lady Gaga's?
No wonder she can't read.
Happy birthday, Ellen!
Yeah, happy birthday.
Come teach our daughter primary colors.
And reading.
Kids, I must have heard your mom's rendition of La Vie en Rose a million times over the years. Every night when she tucked you in, for instance. But that performance, That first night I ever heard her sing, that one will always be my favorite.
Tell the difference between these two sounds. I am Feli.
Hi, I'm Gabby.
And I am Pam.
And if you haven't noticed the difference, now we're going to show you, so let's get it. As we saw in the first video, birthday, it is voiceless and it's made only with air. To pronounce, we touch the back of our upper teeth with the tip of the tongue. Breathe out while moving the tongue sharp and downward and letting air flow past the tongue and mouth. Vocal cords should not vibrate. Example of words: think, toothpaste, think, and truth.
Now, this consonant is a fricative, dental, and voiced sound. But what it means? Being a fricative sound means that the air to produce this consonant will be forced through a narrow passage, making audible friction. Dental is the place of articulation where the tongue is placed against the upper teeth, and is a voiced sound because you can feel the vibration of the vocal cords when produced. To pronounce this consonant, you just need to touch the back of your upper teeth with the tip of your tongue, and then you breathe out while you move the tongue sharply downward and let the air flow past the tongue and the mouth, doing everything with your vocal cords vibrating. Some examples of this consonant are mother, this, and weather.
So now let's put into practice. In the following sentence, this Thursday, which TH sound are we hearing? The voiceless or the voiced one? If your answer was voiceless, you're correct. Now let's hard things up a little. In the sentence, you have to thank them for your birthday gift. One of the TH sounds is a voiced one. Which one is it? If your answer was them, you're correct. Yay, you went great.
Okay, that's the end. But I decided to choose this video because TH sounds for Portuguese speakers are very tricky. It's very hard for us because we don't have in our language. And I believe this group could manage to create a really nice video and much more than we asked, right? So throughout the V, the group, they decided who was going to say what. They decided the rows, they decided the script, they decided the app that they would choose. So this group chose Canva. So all of this was created by them, right? So all of these videos, like short videos that they put in the TV series videos, they researched and they find like I have like this example here. So it was very interesting to see how they could have some autonomy throughout the development of a project, right? So just to conclude, let me go. Okay. As I told you, it was much more than we anticipated, right? We could see that merging course content through PBL, which is project-based learning, could improve the students' autonomy and also their digital skills, right? As they had to negotiate how to create the video, they had to negotiate on the app that they would use, the rows, the scripts, right? It also improved their collaboration in a group-centered environment and helping a less experienced colleague. Because as I told you, for example, in this group, there were 3 girls. 2 of them were from Brazil and 1 of them was from Mexico. And we could see that the girl from Mexico was a kind of a teacher to the others because she knew some aspects of pronunciation that the other girls they didn't have contact with that. So they were kind of teaching and learning at the same time, right? And that's pretty much it. And obrigada and muchas gracias. I wish Migdalia was here to say it in Spanish because her Spanish much better than mine. But this is our contact information. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Ma'am Laura. I think that is muchas gracias, not to you and also to your students and also to your co-faculties who's been doing a great job about merging course content between Brazil and Mexico. So I think a while ago you're using a problem-based learning approach as your methodology in the aspect of an English, Spanish, and a Portuguese phonetics and phonology, which applies the virtual exchange or the collaborative online international learning towards your digital and communication skills. So once again, congratulations. Let's give a heart sign or a virtual clap for Laura. Thank you very much for that. I think that is a really great, a brilliant approach then to make it creative for our students. So later on, we will have some probable questions perhaps for our first speaker. So hold on with it with your question. You can put it in the chat box if you like to have some questions and all. So after which we will proceed to our next speaker to give us also another brilliant approach using actually with the virtual exchange. So I think I will introduce to you our second speaker for today. So our second speaker is actually from Germany. He is M.A. Martín Hernán Castro of HWR Berlin. He will be talking to us about the challenges for management and interculturality findings from COILing with the three different cultural orientations. So once again, help me welcome M.A. Martín Hernán Castro. Hello, sir.
Thank you, Erwin. I hope you all can listen me well. Just a correction. I live in Germany, I work in Germany, but I'm from Argentina, so very close to Brazil. So we are friends, except in football. Just to start my presentation, I will share my screen also. Please, just a second. Now, I hope you can see my PowerPoint. I'm opening in presentation mode. Just also I want to say thank you to the HKBU and to you also, Erwin, for the presentation. It's a pleasure to be here. Just a summary of myself in a second. I am a lecturer of the HW Berlin, R Berlin, and also I teach in other universities here in Germany. Just to start, what I'm going to do is to show an analysis that I did about my experience working in different coils project for the HWR Berlin, and I had the luck to collaborate with different universities and thinking that Coil is a wonderful tool for interculturality. I think I could found, and I'm still trying to research more, different findings that might be interesting also for other lecturers, other professors. So the presentation is called Challenges for Management and Interculturality, Findings from COILing with three different culture orientations. So basically, first I'm going to mention also that I'm teaching intercultural communication in this university, and also I teach different subjects related to project management, to, for instance, leadership and international negotiation. Okay, just to start, you know what it means, Coil. I just said it, is especially a tool to meet students and also to foster intercultural competence for students and also for lecturers, not only in an international, in a university level, also in other levels. I take a look to the chat. I don't know if there is a question to me. Just a second. Thank you, Emma. Thank you, Emma, for the message. So this is basically my experience. I worked in Coils with universities from different parts of the world, from different cultural orientation, very different cultural orientations. Just to mention the University of the Basque Country in Spain, the Amsterdam School of International Business in the Netherlands, and also I had the pleasure to work in a Coil, hopefully in the next semester also with the Hong Kong Baptist University. So a university of South Europe, a university of Western, Northern Europe, and a university of Southern Asia. So you can see that the differences might be matched, or you can interpret that. I continue with the next slide. My computer is a bit slow now. So first, for me, it was interesting to try to analyze the challenges for management, because that is one of my areas of work, or the main area of work, and how these usual challenges that one can face in a local environment, in an international and especially very diverse environment, these challenges are increased exponentially, I would say. So there are always in management issues to solve regarding, you see, problem solving, decision making, conflict resolution, etc., etc. Problems related to how to negotiate with partners inside the work environment, etc., etc. So, and as I mentioned here, in a single cultural environment that is difficult, in an international environment like Coil, is increased this complexity. So this is a chart I prepared using my experience. As I said, I represent a university in Berlin, in Germany, and these are the typical characteristics, cultural characteristics in the countries where I work in Coil. So my country in this case, Germany, let's call it my country, and the countries with I collaborated, Spain, Netherlands, and Hong Kong, China. So you can see the different, this is a model, it's discussable. This is a typical model used in to interpret the cultural characteristics of the countries. Obviously there are differences even inside the countries, and obviously there are differences regarding the individuality of the person. So I made this chart using different parameters. For instance, work style, business outlook, planning, organization, decision making, etc., etc. I won't go so much in detail because it will take a long time. But especially I want to focus in the first one, work style. The work style in Germany is individualist. In Spain is usually more team-oriented. In the Netherlands is also individualist. The society in Netherlands, we can say, is relatively similar to Germany. In this sense, I will give you an anecdote regarding Coil, starting to collaborate with the university in Netherlands. I had the prejudice that maybe it wouldn't be very interesting for me and for the students, obviously, and for the rest of the lectures. Why? Because I thought we wouldn't be able to find many differences. We wouldn't be able to get an interesting collaboration between the teams that we try to form because of the similarities. But at the end, having the experience to work in several coils with this university in the Netherlands, the experience was wonderful. We found differences that I couldn't even imagine. For instance, on the organization of the planning of the project, for instance, and so that's something to remark, that even one can surprise oneself in this type of projects. And continuing, if you see in Hong Kong, I registered team oriented and question mark. Why? I already presented kind of a similar presentation in another event, and also with the participation of some people from Hong Kong and from other countries. And so I received the input that the society is not so much team oriented today because the students like to work in an individual way. I totally agree that actually, as I said, we cannot take a society as something fixed. The societies are dynamic, the cultures are dynamic. And in this sense, what happens in Hong Kong, which is very evident, happens also in other societies because of the advance of the technologies, especially in the last years. Students, especially young people, especially, but a big portion of the societies tend to work more in an individual way because they are connected with their devices all the time. But that doesn't mean that there is a background of relationship orientation or team orientation. Okay, that's the declaration, what I wanted to clarify regarding that. I try to go a bit faster. So seeing all these differences obviously in the work together with other universities, one can interpret that they would eventually might provoke certain conflicts or challenges for the students, and also for me as a lecturer with the collaboration with the other lecturers. That is clear. In this sense, here's where it's important, the intercultural competence. I'm trying to change the slide. As I said, it's slow. What I saw, what I could analyze, what I could found is that many students face these problems related to their culture, to their different approaches. And at the beginning, maybe in the first stages of the collaboration, these difficulties were really sometimes hard restrictions. I'm generalizing, that was not always seen. And the students, through the understanding of these differences and taking them positively, they starting to develop these competences, these intercultural competences, which some of them are summarized here in this chart of knowledge, skills, awareness, and sensitivity. And at the end, they could take better decisions together with the colleagues of the other universities. They could even see that there are other ways of leading the processes. There are other ways of organizing, and that everything is acceptable and everything is possible to work together when there is the intention to understand the other cultures. In this sense, the development of intercultural competence is a very important tool that is very clear developed in projects like this. Just to finalize, thinking that there is practically no time, I think the students during the calls, at least in my experience, follow this process, the process call of 4 Rs, basically. At the end, they recognize certain differences, sometimes not totally positively. They start respecting them, obviously with a guide of the lecturers, professors working together with them. And then they start to reconcile these differences to be able to get at the end the goal of the project, the goal of the collaboration. And as you can see, the last R is the realization. So after reconciling, they realize and they get the results done in order to, as I said, to accomplish the objectives of the project. I take a look to the last chat. I guess it's exactly to remind me that we had to finish. Thank you very much. I hope you could understand something. It was very summarized. The analysis actually is wider, but I hope you could see some of my findings and they were clear for all of you. You can contact me, obviously, whenever you want. Here's my email in case you want me to speak wider about this. Okay. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, Dr. Martin. I think that was really great. It was actually very clear to us regarding the challenges that was actually faced by the students and also the faculty on his side. And it was actually very clear to us that there are different academic challenges, different potential problems like the multicultural environment, the different approaches that was actually mentioned. And it was also mentioned by Dr. Martin about the 4 Rs, that is recognition, respect, reconciliation, and realization then in the phase in implementing with the Coil program. I think that was very clear with him. So I think we will proceed. Thank you very much. Dr. Martin, let's give him a heart sign and of course, warm applause, a virtual applause for Dr. Martin. Thank you very much, Dr. Martin. Okay, so let's watch out later on for a probable question. I think you can post your questions in the chat box. So please take note, it is in the chat box that you can actually have your questions. Okay, let's proceed to our third speaker, which is me. So I'll be actually presenting my presentation regarding dissecting health and wellness education using COIL as the pedagogical approach. So I think all of us are very clear, and I think in dissecting with our health and wellness, I think there is a slide, Maggie, regarding the COIL as a pedagogical approach. In the healthcare team, I think it is very obvious that we can actually adopt, with the COIL program, even like, for example, if you are in the hardcore healthcare or health professional education. Next slide, please. So in dissecting health and wellness education using COIL as pedagogical approach, that it was actually in the newspaper that some of the jobless graduates really are lacking with these critical skills and other skills that we have in our education. On the next slide, there are different skills that are really needed nowadays in terms of employment. And one of it is actually more on teamwork, collaboration skills, interprofessional skills that we can really attain from the collaborative online international learning. I think there's a lot, I think it's undebatable how COIL actually give us a lot of this potential skills, to make us a global future ready. Next slide, please. So with this one, we can actually say that there are different models in terms of health education relating to digital technology. And one of it is actually from De Pablos et al. On the published work in terms of investigating education in 2011, that digital technology was already being embedded, and there was really a personal satisfaction and a professional satisfaction that brings teachers into a well-being. So meaning that really digital technology makes it sure that not only with the student, but also the facilitator, the teacher, the professors are actually in a well-being because they implemented in terms of this digital platform that we have. And of course, in the COIL, because of this digital platform, it makes it easier for us in terms of engaging to other students or other faculty abroad also. Next slide, please. Another model that we can create is according to this Nelson et al, Nado et al, no, that was mentioned. There are a lot of learning theory selection that we have. The learning theories are the model of community inquiry, the principles of connectivism, and Harzivism online that makes sure that in terms of our concepts, need assessment are actually pedagogically correct in terms of implementing COIL, in terms of collaboration and engagement from student to student, student to instructor or faculty, or instructor to our student then. On the next slide, you can see the different concepts also of 3 Ps and also with different Cs. That one of the C's that actually, according to Kane et al., in designing health and professional education curricula using system thinking perspective, in the health education is very important to implement collaboration, because in an actual practice in the industry, collaboration is very essential in terms of health education towards its health practice or in the public health. Next slide, please. So another concept is that collaboration is very essential then towards teacher encounter, wherein the learner having engaged with student to student or student to the instructor or student to faculty then, wherein they build trust, confidence, collaboration, and understanding to one another, according to Ventres et al. On the study on deeper teaching from theory and practice to learners centered on the medical education. Next slide, please. So with this case, here we are in Holy Child Central Colleges, wherein we try to implement collaborative online international learning or virtual exchange to our pharmacy students and other healthcare, and even in business and other, that make it sure that the student have the right phase in terms of learning and engagement to student also in abroad. On the next slide, you can actually see the video. You can click here in just 1 minute. You can see that we are in the southern part of Cotabato City, wherein there's a lot of indigenous people in this particular area. So in Holy Child Center Colleges, it's very diverse population, wherein our IP or indigenous people are there also from Tibuli tribes. And of course, in this case, that in Holy Child Center Colleges, we are, most of the populations are actually indigenous people. We're very diverse. And of course, we are quite very inclusive for those who are in different gender and of course in different races. Next slide, please. So we also implemented in our institution also the wine dispense also, wherein this is integrated according to the Monash University Australia that are being used. Is a technology that we use for virtual dispensing also. So this particular platform can also be integrated using the collaborative online international learning, wherein students from other country like in University of Brunei Darussalam or even in Jember University or others or other healthcare professionals will be able to integrate. On the next slide, you can see the virtual simulated patients that we have, so they can interact with the simulated patient with their partner abroad also. So they'll be working together with the simulations of this, and of course, learning from each other on what would be the next phase, no, in dispensing with medication. On the next slide, you can see also the different, from the pandemic side of the different simulated patient. Next slide. You can see also how the student actually work out in terms of the case analysis, wherein student from other country will interact from the Philippines on, and of course there might be simulated patient also on how they be able to have this treatment or diagnosis or even like medication for the certain patient. Next slide, please. So this is some of the case study that we have from University Kebangsaan Malaysia also. On the next slide, you can see also the different collaboration. It's not only one university, but also multiple universities that we have in collaboration with the collaboration with our My Dispense or our virtual platform also, and using with the Coil program with this. On the next slide, so we have this collaboration with University Kebangsaan Malaysia on pharmacokinetics and medication review. On the next slide, so we have also Coil with the basic education. So she is actually fluent already into Japan for some collaborations. Coil class, we're in from the virtual. So you can see on the background our Coil laboratory that is in place, that is sponsored or been funded by the Commission on Higher Education, our government. So we put up a technology exclusively for our internationalization or for our Coil or virtual exchanges. Next slide, please. So here are the proposed Coil health education curriculum development process. So you can see, please do take that we'll be able to have an industry-driven first on what is really needed in terms of our output before we be able to establish in terms of our Coil. And on the next, that will be putting into the syllabus and making sure that during our collaboration, it must be properly assessed, and there might be tools that will be able to use during the collaboration. And of course, there must be a reflection of the students regarding what are needed in terms of the collaboration. Next slide, please. So with this, all of this, we need to look at the bigger picture, that the industry and of course the community, the environment that we have. In Holy Child, most of our students are indigenous people and diverse population from southern Cotabato. And there might be Muslim, there might be indigenous people and some Christians that are living together. So we must be able to adopt what is actually in our environment. Next slide, please. So with this, I think we see that we have collaborated on a partner from Colombia. Next slide. And also from UCAB. So we actually merge ideas that we have and come up with something really real projects that will help in terms of the communities and our students. So they really appreciate in terms of what is really needed in terms of the community-based learning, using problem-based learning, case-based learning, no, and other approaches, so that our student will be able to engage with other students abroad. And the next slide. So you can see also our COIL plan, wherein syllabus are being made. Next slide, please. So also how we be able to adopt it with our partners also from icebreaker, making with our project, and of course the reflection part. On the next slide, you can see also our project like EdTech Fusion between Philippines and also Venezuela with UCAB. And you can see our technology in the Philippines. Remember, we are in the southern part, no, in the Philippines, and our students are very fortunate because these are been sponsored by the Commission on Higher Education. Our government really put up this technology for those IP and of course very inclusive to all. Next slide, please. So here are our project, next slide. So we need to really look at data privacy, and we are developing next with our micro-credential for those who cannot afford and for those who are really online and on. Next slide. So these are from the government. I am part of the Innovation Laboratory of the Commission on Higher Education under the National Review Committee on International Projects. So we are looking at more collaboration with different parts in the Philippines. We have almost more than 20 innovation centers all over the Philippines that are designed for the collaborative online international learning. Next slide, please. So if you want to contact with us, with our student, most of it have a lot of stories to tell for this, and we have different diverse population, and you can actually see our videos, our YouTube videos, and also our like for example Facebook for all the messages and all. So I think that's all for myself, and of course we will proceed to the next presenter, which is Miss Dr. Erika Callery from HWR Germany, who will be talking about the networking effects and capacity building in a virtual exchange, learnings, and strategies from Berlin, Germany. So help me welcome Miss Erika. Erika, hello.
Hello, thanks very much, everyone. Yeah, thanks also to the HKBU School of Continuing Education for the invitation. So I'm Erika Callery, project coordinator for the Berlin University's Coil project, which is a Berlin-wide project which focuses on implementing virtual exchange and Coil at 9 Berlin institutions. And today I'll be looking at the network effects and capacity building that we've achieved with our activities in the Coil field. So the HWR Berlin has actually done 2 interinstitutional Coil-related projects. So we already had a project back in 2020 with some of our School of Applied Science partners and fellow universities from SUNY US. And now we're working in Berlin in this field. So maybe just very quickly about the HWR Berlin, where Martín is also based, who you've heard from earlier. We're a School of Applied Science with a big focus on business and economics, but also on the other subject fields you see on the right-hand side. So cooperative studies, where students are working for a company alongside studying, public administration, legal studies, and police and security management. So particularly our business and economics department is very well internationalized, but our other subject areas are a little bit behind in that field, but we are very international in our focus. We already started with our Coil journey back in 2017 with our first global classroom project. And then I got my first personal experience in 2019 with 2020, working on this virtual academy project, which I'm going to show you briefly now. So as I mentioned, we worked with other German schools of applied sciences and partners in America from the SUNY system and Pittsburgh on 8 transatlantic Coil projects. We had very top project topics. They were interdisciplinary, and this project was funded by the German Academic Exchange Service. So we received funding for personnel, mobility, and trainings. We also participated in training by SUNY, and some of those outputs included research paper developed by participating lecturers, something I always really highlight as a great output from doing Coil collaboration, and a self-study course for students preparing them for their intercultural experience. I will post in the Padlet the link to these projects. They give a good overview of some of the interdisciplinary projects that took place. So to what we're doing now, as I mentioned, our project includes 9 state Berlin universities, so pretty much all the Berlin state universities, from the big research institutes, the Free University Berlin, Humboldt University Berlin, Technical University Berlin, right through to the schools of applied sciences with their focuses. We're funded by the Berlin Senate, and our funding is for coordinators at each of the institutions and a project lead here at the HWR Berlin. So what makes this kind of Coil collaboration on a meta level so unique and challenging? So as you can imagine, we have a real breadth of experience because we have very different institutions that are taking part in this project. So the type of institution varies greatly. As I mentioned, the medical school The University of the Medical School is involved, Charité. We have the big research universities, we have the art school, and then we have smaller universities of applied science. We also have an incredibly broad subject focus because pretty much every subject under the sun is covered by these 9 institutions. And where COIL is situated in the institution varies widely as well. So we have some people sitting in the international office, like myself. We also have people sitting in the faculties or the departments, and people sitting in the e-learning centres or centres for teaching and learning. So that means that the institutional anchoring is also very different. And interestingly, we also have very different institutional structures and rules and regulations. So as we all know from COILing, it's always a bit of a challenge dealing with regulations regarding use of platforms into geographies. But even within Berlin, we actually have these kind of challenges. And of course, some of the institutions are quite far in their COIL experience, and some are just quite new to the format. So what have we been doing? How have we been collaborating across difference, like our students doing their COIL projects? Well, we've been creating online events in association with the Berlin Center for Higher Education, which trains our lecturers here in Berlin. We offer How to COIL online sessions. They're free of charge and online. They started off in German, but we opened them pretty quickly up to international partners and then transferred to English. They are like a kind of introductory section for COIL for people who don't know so much about it, and they include a kind of case study in each of the sessions. And actually, our participants requested that we hold also a more informal format in addition to these. So we set up the BCOIL meetups, which are also online and open to international partners. And I have shared the links to these events in our Padlet. So if you feel like joining, you would also be welcome. We've also been developing tools for students. So we're very soon to finish a serious game. So the gamification aspect of preparing students for COIL. And we also offered live training sessions with an intercultural trainer in order to support students on their COIL journey. We've developed COIL video nuggets for educators. They'll also be finished soon, just introducing COIL and various aspects of virtual exchange for educators. And we've just started work on a self-study course for educators to help prepare them for their experience. We've also had, of course, the usual marketing material that we've developed, and we're also working on a quality criteria and position paper on administrative and structural barriers. And of course, at an institutional level, we are looking to sustainably implement and promote virtual exchange projects. So here, just an overview of the events coming up next semester, which of course, you're also welcome to join. And a bit of an overview of the actual COILs that are taking place at our institutions, because I'm talking more about the meta level here, but of course at the micro level, we also have lots of virtual exchange projects taking place. So yeah, what are our experiences? Are we stronger together? So we have managed to establish through this project a very active community of practice. We have monthly in-person meetings, and we regularly communicate via a tool called Rocket Chat, which all of our institutions can use. So that means we reach out to each other on a very regular basis to discuss COIL and some of the challenges we might be facing, and try to work out strategies to solve those issues. We also have set up working groups on outputs such as video, self-study course. We have also noticed we have a much stronger voice and more visible as we are a COIL alliance than we would have if we were just working alone. And capacity building, in terms of that, we've been able to share existing resources and develop new resources to be shared, which has been a very efficient way of working. So we already had a Moodle course for lecturers. We've had events that I've already mentioned. And we really noticed the diversity of perspectives, but also, skills and resources that our different institutions offer. So, for example, student assistant at the art school is doing all of our design work. We have different IT tools at different institutions, so we can really build upon what we already have, and we have much more variety in what we have to hand. And of course, we share know-how on COILs, our experiences, and some of the solutions to those challenges. Another important aspect of capacity building is matchmaking, which we all know can be a bit of a challenge. And because we're this big alliance, if we get a request from a partner university that we cannot fulfill, maybe because we don't have any lecturers in that field, we can pass that on to the other institutions. So we have a much bigger network in terms of our matchmaking. So as we also know, there comes some challenges with collaborating across difference as they also offer students collaborating across difference. So we have to reconcile different institutional priorities. We have very different disciplinary viewpoints, which can affect everything from wording. In one case, one institution doesn't like to talk about interdisciplinarity, rather transdisciplinarity, and the other institution likes to use interdisciplinarity. So we can have some challenges in that respect. Of course, design is very different according to the institution as well. And the arguments that we win over lecturers with can differ as well. You have to speak differently to lecturers who are lecturing in one subject matter than you do to another. And of course, institutional structures are important. We have different priorities within those institutions. And as I mentioned, the arguments that we use therefore have to be crafted differently. And of course, we all know personal viewpoints can also differ. So looking at the time, I will very briefly mention the institutional challenges at smaller universities of applied science. So we have a much greater focus on teaching and kind of innovative hands-on teaching, and less of a slightly less focus on research, which makes it easier to win lecturers in this respect. And we are a smaller institution, so it's much easier for matchmaking. And to reach decision makers. However, some of our study programs can be very standardized with little flexibility, and our educators have double pressure with teaching and research. So that can be a little bit tricky, although it offers a lot of, COIL offers a lot of options in that respect. The larger research universities, that we have the opportunities of them often being in a university alliance, which is a European alliance system for universities, and that they have a lot of existing resources and structures. Their institutes have existing international networks and a broader subject offering. But of course, the size can also be a disadvantage in trying to reach people. And it's a lot harder to make yourself heard in such a big institution. From the medical school perspective, our lecturers have wide international networks thanks to visiting congresses. Interest is still there, but we often can't offer COILs within the curriculum. However, some of the students actually have to complete project work as part of the curriculum, so sometimes we can work around that. Some of the challenges are that these kind of study programs can be particularly inflexible in terms of making changes to the curriculum. So what are our learnings? Our biggest learning is to be patient. It definitely takes a while before you see the results of your hard work in promoting COIL. It can take several semesters. There are also some unique opportunities and challenges of our setting. So in Germany, we have the lecturers have a lot of freedom in terms of what they can teach. Freiheit der Lehre, it's a historical has historical reasons, but that gives them a bit more flexibility than in some other geographies. But we're also a very international city, so there is a lot going on already in terms of international opportunities. So we have to really make our voice heard extra loud here. We also learned that it's possible to integrate a COIL into pretty much any subject from our project. And we really think that virtual exchange is a particularly good topic on which to collaborate as an institution with other institutions on this topic on a meta level. So yeah, our conclusion is that we are in fact better together. Here I will just skip by. These are our upcoming events. I'm going to post them in the Padlet. So please do stay in touch, and thank you for listening.
Yes, thank you very much for that very exciting news that we have, Erica. And I think Erica mentioned about be coil. I like the word. No, I love it. No, in terms of creating strategies then and network effects that actually support and develop those that are starting in terms of the coil and those big universities, connecting also with the global partners all over the world. And of course, sharing best practice and of course, cross-cultural or cross-institution, and of course, making this very exciting project that you have. Congratulations, Erica. And I think that really deserve a heart sign or a virtual clap. Thanks, Erica, for that. Yes. Okay, so we are now opening our floor for any probable questions for the next 15 to 20 minutes. Please feel free to share your questions. And if you would like to have your questions directly, kindly raise your virtual hand by clicking the hand icon. And alternatively, you can type your questions in the chat and I will ensure our panelists address them. So let's actually begin with our first question that is posted into our chat box. Okay, I think there's a lot of our participants for today because our topic is so exciting. Okay, so I think we will go with the first question, which is actually answered by Martin. I think it was mentioned here in the chat box. What were the biggest challenges the COIL participants face while completing the project? How did they solve them? So I think we will go round with the table. So let's start with Laura. Okay. Laura, do you have anything to
Okay.
say about the challenges that you face during your understanding with phonetics, phonology and all? Yes.
I would say that the biggest challenge was a little bit in terms of time for the students to be a group. And I guess this demands some time. So for them to understand, and I believe this is connected to what Martin mentioned, to understand how the group works, how in terms of culture, in terms of do we say this, do we say that, which roles do we take? So I guess once they set this group mode, they were able to continue with their project. So yes, setting this was a little bit hard for them.
Yes, thank you very much, Laura. So I think you want to add up, Martin, since you're really gnashing your teeth or let me want to answer something. Yes, Martin.
No, simply to add, as I said, it has to do with the cultural orientation also. When some groups come from a cultural society with more individualistic also orientation, sometimes, it's a generalization again, but many times they tend to try to organize everything by themselves instead of participating the other ones. And that sometimes is a kind of a problematic situation. These students try to lead sometimes the whole process, and that's conflictive. It's a challenge to carry on. Okay.
Yes, I really connect with you, Martin, with regards to some students actually leaving already in the group or they don't want really to engage. There's no perfect actually coil wherein everyone can actually participate and engage. There are, as what I've experienced in the group, sometimes they don't even want to talk. No, they just actually leave the group. Or maybe there's a lot of reasons why they don't want to really engage. And maybe perhaps it can be, shall we say, a teacher factor, but most of the time it can be a student factor sometimes, on how we be able to engage. So it's really very essential that at the very first, during your orientation, you'll be able to tell your students or your co-faculty, you need to have a proper briefing, or orientation with your student. What really needs to be engaged, what project to be done, what things to be done, at the very, very start. Because that can add up more of their engagement. So you don't go to the serious part, right? So COIL needs to have an icebreaker, having some cultural staff and engagement icebreaker to one another so that it will be more exciting. How about you, Erica? What's something challenges that you have faced, like organizing with all those universities and colleges in Germany?
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, I can only agree with everything that Martin and Laura said in terms of the communication styles can differ quite a lot. And also what appears to be motivational levels. So often one side will think, okay, the students on the other side, they don't care about the grades they're going to get, or they're not bothered. But often it can just be a different kind of communication style and the way that they express themselves. So really sensitizing the students in advance that, people from certain geographies might seem and being open-minded about why people are not communicating. I think that makes a big difference, because if you're collaborating with someone in the global south, it might be because they literally don't have internet access and can't write back. Or, you know, there can be so many reasons, even personal reasons behind that, right? But I think the biggest challenge sometimes is if the courses do not have equal weighting in terms of grading. So I think we've had that experience. If one course is graded and the other course is voluntary, this can be a real issue. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure it can also be successful, but that's something I always keep an eye out for.
Yes, I think that's a reality, you know, in terms of the COIL. And I really can relate with that with Erica, that there are some faculties who don't really want in terms of engaging with the COIL or perhaps engaging. I have actually a faculty that don't want really to engage at the very start. No, because I said, oh, that's the mandate of the president. That's the mandate of the institution to have a call. I really tell them about that. But later on, they love it. They want to engage with the global partner. It's like setting with their mindset and become more local, you know, that we discuss with some global issues, but we localize it, you know, in terms of the surroundings, the environment that we have in the locality. So I think let's move on. If for our audience, if you want to engage with us and talk with us regarding your experience, or perhaps to ask question, you can just raise the hand button there, and or maybe put it in the chat box. If you're shy to to communicate with us regarding your questions. I think I'll add, yes, Alice, you want to ask something? Yes.
Thank you so much for all the speaker and Dr. Fowler's call my hands. I don't know which part to do, but my question is, I'm impressed. Started with 3 institutions, and later on I see Erica's have like 80 partner institutions. Please share your wisdom. What is the pearl to keep people sustainable for these? All of you, please shed me some light. How to keep sustainable with so many possible and sustainable partnership.
Mm-hmm.
Just once, but keep going and keep growing.
Shall I answer directly then?
Yes, Erica.
Yeah, so obviously bear in mind those 90 partnerships. They're across all of our institutions. So those are the figures for all of the institutions involved in our project. So first of all, don't be put off by that. In our experience, yeah, it is a little bit about a personal connection between the individuals, and of course that can make it not very sustainable. However, I mean, I think even I can speak for Martin now. You have worked with institutions where the personnel has changed, and you've still managed to keep the partnership going. That's correct, right? And I know of other projects where that's happened as well. We predominantly try to start COIL projects with existing partners, so that you're kind of extending the partnership rather than trying to something new, though we do that as well. I think if you can really involve your international office as much as possible, that is a real benefit, because we know the partners because of other activities going on. So we have a little bit of a better overview in terms of where the strength of the partnerships lie. And we can often talk to our counterparts and find out what's going on. If something is like not working in the partnership, we can sometimes get some insider information. So I'm not sure I can really provide you with so many pearls of wisdom, but they would be my tips.
Yes, I think that's I can really connect with Erica about it. If you have a good faculty, and of course you have not a better facilities, but facilities will go on. But if you can have a very good faculty who can really engage globally on it and a correct mindset to everything, I think that will be possible. I think Martin is raising his hand, right?
I think I can say something about Erica. She's very professional. She's really engaged in her work, and she shows empathy also. She shows that she shows to care about people. I think that's very important. Doesn't matter in what position everyone is. I think she does a very difficult job in a great way. And also I have to say that I am also here. I also very motivated to participate in COILs in a big part. Not only that, but in a big part also because of the collaboration with Erica.
Yes, thank you
No.
very much, Martin. Yes, that's really great. So it's all about connection, connectivity to one another, engagement then of your faculty and your student also, and the right infrastructures then that we can have for the COIL. I think, Laura, you want to add up something about this? Yes.
I guess what you said about personal connections, I guess this is like the human side of Coil is what can make this sustainable and like because we feel a connection with the humans, right? So like I have this connection with the person and then I'm engaged to keep this going. I guess this makes a huge difference.
Yes, I think that's the great Laura. So I think all of us have all the learnings that we have. Can you mention one of your personal learning that you have, no, in terms of implementing with the course, something memorable or something funny that you can say to us, some of the exciting learning that you have. Okay, maybe we can start with Erica. Erica, you're smiling. Okay, yes, I think you have something to share with us.
Yeah, I think I will just go back to the point I already made, which is patience and really not getting too hung up when things don't work out. So, and I think that applies to educators as well, right? You could be in the planning stage, you could be really far down the line, and then suddenly the partner, for whatever reason, maybe family reasons, has to pull out, or who knows, and it can be very dispiriting. But that hard work really always pays off in the future in a different way. So don't get dispirited. If it doesn't work out the first time, keep going. And remember, the seeds you plant by meeting with a lecturer who's visiting from a different country and having a coffee, those are seeds that really may bear fruit and a year down the line.
I like the positivity, Erica, with that. Yes. What is your learning? Maybe Laura, you want to share something about your personal learnings?
Well, I am actually like I'm a PhD student, but I have been involved in COIL and telecollaboration ever since my undergraduate. But for me, so I have two sides. I have the side of a student, and I have the side now as an almost professor. So I see that for us, especially in Brazil, we cannot have a lot of connections. It's very different from Europe that you travel 2 hours anywhere in another country. So for us, all of these connections, and especially for the students, they are a big deal. So getting to know people from other countries, getting to know other cultures is life-changing for them. So this is very exciting for me as a student and for me as a future professor.
Yes, thank you very much, Laura. Yes, Martin, you want to say something about your personal learning?
Yes, simply, even when I work in intercultural communication, even when I think I have intercultural competences, through COIL, I realized that I must go on, I must improve them. And I face even some issues that I thought I was being very competent in this sense, but I realized that no, so the learning process is all the time. That's also very interesting.
Yes, I really can relate to that, what we have mentioned. It's really, I think I would say that it's not really enough. The learning that you have every day when you are talking with your partners, it makes you something more globalized, more inclusive. No, I really learn a lot in terms of the culture and I really implement it to where I am now in terms of our students for indigenous people or diverse backgrounds that we have. So it really improved me, to become more human, as what you called Erica about it, more human, learning more human as we are, and also thinking loud about in the global arena. We're thinking about what is happening from other country, but how about internally? What is happening from our local? So we think local then. So thinking out loud of what is happening from the international and applying it into our local context. This is something to be learned also, that I actually really put into my heart regarding the learnings that I have. Yeah. So how about we're talking about ourselves. Now we're talking about our students. How about our students? What have you observed from them from the very start that they haven't implemented a coil? Now there is a coil, then what have you observed? Is there any development of their skills, their personalities, how they speak in English more fluently, more communicative, or whatsoever? I think you're nodding your head, Laura. Yes, it's all about your phonetics and
Yes.
phonology.
Yes.
Yes, yes.
For us, it's a very nice opportunity for students, and I see that their first aim is to have a moment to practice another language. So for them, it's a very it's different to have this contact with. We usually use English as a lingua franca because we have other countries connections with other countries, and they speak English during the coils. And for them, they feel so confident after. They feel like, yes, I've done it. Like I've developed this project, and I was able to speak another language. So you can actually really see their excitement. They love doing coil. They ask us like all the time. But because of this, it brings up their confidence.
Yeah, so it brings the more confidence to them. How about your students, Martin?
I can say that the problem is not the language. My classes are very diverse in this sense. There are students especially from all Europe, but also from other continents. What I can say is regarding the Germans specifically. Germans usually don't demonstrate much. It's not a characteristic. They are not effusive like South European, like Spaniards or Italians, for instance, or like Latin Americans. And sometimes coming from another culture, as myself, at the beginning was difficult to understand them if they were engaged or not. Because, as I said, they don't demonstrate. But then, after the weeks during the process, I realized that they were participating actively and they were enjoying the work. That's a big learning, or in this sense, for me.
Yes, there might be first judgment about the culture, but later on you will discover the similarities then of this culture, and I'm sure they are all participative. No? So this really the diversities that we have perhaps lead into similarities in the future, regarding our thoughts and feelings, emotions, and how we'll be able to communicate to one another. Yes. How about in your students, Erica, for some of your universities and colleges that you have in Germany? What are some of the observations, maybe improvement, or it can be the skills that they have? Yes.
Yeah, we've definitely had examples of students who had never studied in English before and really were quite nervous about studying and really boosted their confidence for that. So I can really agree with Laura with the confidence aspect. I also think that they really learn through the difficult situations. So there's difficulties during the collaboration. They often, at the time, they don't realize they're learning, but I think afterwards they realize that was part of the experience, and they kind of change their attitudes to it. Yeah, and I think what we face sometimes in our setting is that a lot of students feel like they already have intercultural competences, and educators, actually. It's exactly what Martin said. Like, if we work in an international setting, we kind of think we can do it. And actually, it's very exactly what Martin said, that through the coil, you realize no, there's a lot of work to be done. So that kind of just awareness of this never-ending journey that you're on in that field.
Speaking of a never-ending journey then that we have, so all of us have different students, different faculties that we are engaging from different countries. Now, my question is, what needs to be developed? What needs to be improved in terms of our call for intercultural competence that we have? What needs to be developed? Maybe Laura can start with that. Yes.
Tricky question, but I guess it's connected with what Erica said. Thinking that we know can maybe be hard, right? So maybe developing their cultural competence and actually dealing with it in a tangible way can help this and not just think that you know. So yes, maybe actually working with this issue.
Yes, I think I can relate with you with that, Laura. What's next after that we have the COIL? So is there another teacher who will be doing this in the second year, in the third year, or in the fourth year then, or another semester? There's something sustainability of it in terms of their skills or something, because I'm sure after your subject or after your topic then, what's next about it? Is there something, a face-to-face engagement with them, or another dimension of their cultural competencies from another subjects? That can be something tricky, no? In terms of our coil sustainability that we have. I think Erica is nodding her head about it. What is your
Yeah.
thoughts about it? Yeah, what needs to
Yeah.
be developed?
Well, I think two aspects. I think it's good to concentrate on the fact that we learn actually way more about ourselves and our own culturation through these collaborations than we do, not always putting the focus on the other, but ourselves, right? Because I think that is actually the biggest learning. You learn just simply far more about yourself and the way you interact and the way you communicate through these interactions. And often we tend to look, oh, I've learned about the students in Brazil, or I've learned about the students in Italy. And then secondly, I was going to say that I think we are slowly starting to realize that it's quite good to put the emphasis on the fact we're all going to be working in diverse workplaces, you know, as globalization increases with migration. So really putting the focus on those skills for the workplace, rather than saying, oh, the international collaboration that you have in the future, you might work with someone from a different country. No, you might be working within your same country with someone from your country that is very diverse in their backgrounds. So a little bit of the focus away from the internationality to diversity at home. If that makes sense.
Yes, thank you very much. I think it's very clear to all of us. Yes, Martin, you want to say something about what needs to be developed from your part or from your
I
students?
mean, there are always things to improve. There are always things to develop. I think very important is to keep the motivation. Sometimes that doesn't mean that one is not motivated, but you know, we have many responsibilities. And I think it's very important in my case that every call I take it as a new challenge, and that motivates me. Also, the possibility to change university, to change partners, faculty partners. I mean, that's something very important in this process, and also see how the students take the challenge. And also something I didn't say, when we work in COIL, the students collaborate regarding a topic, and also changing the topic is also a new motivation.
Yes, thank you very much, Martin. That is to wrap up. That's all about new challenges, new learnings to all of us. So I think we can wrap up with our question and answer by saying, I think we have almost 2 minutes. Maybe Laura, Martin, and also Erica, you want to advertise for the matching fair? Maybe you want to seek some partners from your side? Laura, maybe you can advertise on your topic or subject that you want to collaborate in the future? Yes.
Well, I have to say that my area is language, right? So language and linguistics. But we like to be creative, so we welcome like any topic. So I guess we can manage to work with different topics, even in different areas. But if you're interested in collaborations in exchange languages, yes, that's what we welcome a lot.
Thank you very much, Laura. How about Martin? You want to advertise something about your subject or topics for Matching Fair?
Yes, I teach a couple of different subjects. They are intimate related, but they are different somehow. I teach international project management, negotiation in this course also. And I also have a couple of courses related to communication and culture and interculturality, the relation between these aspects. So I think those are topics very easy to match in a coil because they are totally related.
Yes, thank you very much, Martin. How about Erica? How can we contact you for the B Coil?
Exactly. So if you're interested in partnering with us at the HWR Berlin or any of our partners, then you can, I put all the details in the Padlet. There's a little survey you can fill out as well. And I would just say a good way as well is to join our BCoil meetups that I mentioned. I will also try and post them in the chat, but they're in the Padlet. So feel free to sign up and drop by, and then maybe you can come into contact with some of our lecturers as well.
Yeah, thank you very much, Erica. As we approach the end of our session, I want to take this opportunity to thank each of our panelists for sharing their invaluable insights and experiences with us today. Thank you very much, Laura, Martin, and Erica, for your exciting experiences about the coil. Hopefully that on the next session, you will be with us to talk about your other experiences and perhaps some challenges and new insights in the future. I appreciate everyone's participation here, and I hope we enjoy the upcoming sessions of this summit. I am Dr. Erwin Martinez Faller, your host for today and your moderator and / your speaker from Holy Child Central Colleges, Philippines, now signing off. Thank you very much, Maggie. And
Thank
also, I
you.
think we have here Alice. Thank you very much. And
Thank
to
you.
the Hong Kong Baptist University for hosting this event. Thank you very much. Bye-bye, everyone.
And thank you everyone for participating for this summit. Can you please spare a few minutes to complete the questionnaire and to share your feedback with us? And the questionnaire is already at the chat box. And also you can scan the QR code for the questionnaire to give us some feedback regarding the your experience on the on this summit or this session. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Okay,
Don't forget
thank you
to have the
very much.
feedback. Yes. Can we have a photo taking with the speakers? Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, everyone. So can we have a picture with our speakers? In
Sure.
3, 2, and smile. Okay, thank you very much. Bye, everyone. Hope to collaborate with you. Thank you. Daghang salamat.
Okay,
Bye.
see you
Thank you,
soon.
Maggie. Thank you. Thank
Bye-bye.
you. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Erica. Thank you, Martin.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr.
Thank you, Maggie. I hope you
Fuller.
enjoy.
You did really good. Amazing.
Yes, thank you very much.
Thank you.
So I
See you
hope that they
soon.
are engaging for them regarding
It is
our
really
session.
our honor to have you as our moderator. You did
Yeah, thank
really,
you very
really good.
much. Thank
Thank
you
you,
very
Dr. Fuller.
much. Yes.
See you
So hope to
soon.
see you soon. Take care.
Okay, bye-bye. Good night.
Good night.
Okay.